Hi everyone. I'm using a new webcam today, so I'm just hoping it is working. I am hoping that somebody will come live so that they can tell me if they can hear me fine. I know that everyone can see me. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. Um, if you're watching live, just tell me if you can hear me. I'm just working with a new webcam. I just want to um, make sure that it's working before I keep going. Yeah, it's working. Okay, excellent. All right, so let's get started. I am just going to, okay. So today we're going to be talking about 5 tips or 5 strategies that you can use to improve your mental health and also that will help you lose weight. And the really important thing, hey Randy, thanks. The really important thing to understand is that your mental and your physical health are actually really simple. The medical establishment, the pharmaceutical industry, and also the diet industry want you to think that it's really, really difficult to lose weight and that the only way to combat your mental health is by taking a pill. And this just really isn't true. And by dealing with your nutrition, you can really take control of both your health, your weight, and your mental health. So today I'm going to talk about all of those things. I'm just going to share my screen and I'm going to get started. Okay, so oh, okay, so here we go. 5 strategies to improve mental health and lose weight. So this is what we're going to talk today about. We're going to talk about the connection between belly fat and your mental health. Yes, they are connected. You might not think they are. It's not only because you have this belly fat and you're unhappy about it, but there are some things that are happening in your body that are connected and have to do with your belly fat and your brain. And then we're going to talk about the connection between dysregulated blood sugar and mental health. So if you've watched any of my trainings before now, or you've watched the one I did a couple weeks ago about blood sugar and how that affects your weight, it's also really, really important for your mental health. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you want a more in-depth training about that, just say blood sugar in the comments, and I will make sure that you get that training. And then last, we're going to talk about 5 strategies to improve mental health and lose belly fat for good. Oops. So just before we get started, my name is Trina Rise. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. I have been since 2014. One of the big reasons why I got into holistic nutrition and holistic health is because I personally have suffered with really severe anxiety and also with some significant depression in my younger adulthood. And so I really was looking for a way that I could deal with these problems in my own life through a holistic approach. So I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of trial and error when it comes to using food and nutrition to improve mental health. And I did originally work with men and women. Now I work exclusively with men over 40, and I really specialize 100% in helping men in their 40s, 50s, and beyond lose stubborn weight for good. But I also, at the same time, help men learn how to use nutrition to improve their mental health. I work with men who have issues with anxiety. I work with men who have issues with depression, and I have a lot of expertise when it comes to those two things. Okay, so if you have belly fat, and I'm assuming if you're in this group, you probably are suffering with some weight, that equals having elevated insulin in your body. And elevated insulin equals chronic inflammation. Okay, and really the issue here that I want to talk about is the fact that chronic inflammation, so if you have belly fat, you've sort of got this simmering kind of inflammation in your body, this smoldering fire inside your belly of inflammation. And chronic inflammation can look like a lot of different things, but two of those things can be belly fat, and they can also be things like depression and things like anxiety. And so when you have elevated insulin in your body, it's really important to understand that insulin is really what unlocks the cells so that sugar can enter them to get converted into energy. So if you have too much sugar in your blood, basically your cells become resistant to insulin. So when there's too much sugar, insulin tries to put the key in to open the door to the cell, but it doesn't work. And insulin has to store that circulating sugar, and it gets stored as fat. Okay, so this is why you have belly fat. You eat food, your blood sugar increases, insulin is released to lower your blood sugar, cells resist insulin, the blood sugar stays elevated, then that excess sugar is stored as fat. Okay. And then you'll feel tired in the afternoon, which triggers cravings. And then you eat food, and then you start that cycle again. And then you end up with belly fat. Okay. And when you have belly fat, you have inflammation in your body, like I mentioned before. And inflammation can show up in a bunch of different ways. You could have arthritis in your joints. You could have, sort of aching and inflamed back, back problems, or maybe it's your knee. Maybe you have digestive issues like with irritable bowel syndrome or other things like that, shoulder pain. All of those things are created by inflammation in your body. And that inflammation is caused by your belly fat and insulin being high. So the other thing that chronic inflammation can cause is brain inflammation. So if you have an inflamed body, you have high risk of things like cancer, arthritis, Alzheimer's, neurological diseases, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disease, pulmonary disease, or diabetes. But you also have the risk of having things like depression, anxiety, mood disorders, anger, all of those things, because chronic inflammation causes all kinds of diseases, chronic diseases, but it also causes your brain to be inflamed. And as you can imagine, if your brain is inflamed, it is not working the way it should. Okay. Every single cell in your body gets affected by the inflammation in your body. Inflammation in your body can affect the brain as well. Okay. So inflammation is really in the driver's seat when it comes to your health. Inflammation is driving every aspect of who you are, how you feel, both mentally and physically, how you interact with the world, your likelihood of developing chronic illness, and your weight. And that is why, or how, all of this is connected. So what drives inflammation? Unbalanced blood sugar drives inflammation. And the main reason my clients lose weight and experience improved mental health is because they learn what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat to balance their blood sugar. So the food that you eat and how you eat it is directly related to how your body and brain function. You cannot get away from this. It's impossible. Your cells function and are built out of the food that you put in your mouth. And that includes your body and your brain. Everything's connected. So what drives unbalanced blood sugar? The food you eat and how you eat it. So if you're eating things like donuts and pizza and chips and chocolate and candy, your levels of inflammation and unbalanced blood sugar are going to be much higher than if you eat whole foods. But you can also still eat whole food and have unbalanced blood sugar. So you really need to know how to eat. The other thing that can cause unbalanced blood sugar is stress and anxiety. So it's really important to address those two things as well. So now we'll get into 5 nutritional strategies that will improve mental health and help you lose belly fat for good. So these strategies really deal with the root problem of inflammation and dysregulated blood sugar. And they also really deal with the basic fundamental need for your body to have good nutrition. Okay, so strategy number 1 is going to be balancing your blood sugar. Balanced blood sugar is really the key to improving your mental health and losing weight for good. The key to lasting weight loss and improving your mental health is balanced blood sugar. The key to balancing your blood sugar is food. Blood sugar is regulated by the foods that you choose to eat, and that's food that your 40, 50, or 60-year-old male body needs. And you do this by changing what, how, and when you eat food in a long-term eating approach. Men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s must balance their blood sugar. So if you want to improve not only your mental health, but lose weight, you need to balance your blood sugar. You don't need to eat less. You don't need to exercise more, but it's extremely important that you balance your blood sugar. And you can do that by eating a protein, carbohydrate, fiber, and healthy fat at every single meal. Okay, those are the three types of nutrients that you have. You have protein, you have carbohydrates, and you have fat. They all digest differently. If you combine them all together, your blood sugar will stay more stable. Okay, so here's an example of that. If you combine carbs, fat, and fiber, as well as protein, it will keep your blood sugar stable. And you can see here, if you eat just a bowl of plain spaghetti on its own, this is what happens to your blood sugar. You get a blood sugar spike. But if you eat an arugula salad and then spaghetti, you can see that your blood sugar spikes much less. So when I say you need to combine all of those things, the protein, the fat, the fiber, and the carbs together, this is why. If you combine foods together, you can see here that the blood sugar spike is much less. And that's what we want. That's what we want for weight loss. And you're going to see in a minute when I talk a little bit about anxiety and blood sugar and mental health, that you also need to eat in this way to keep your mental health in check. Okay, so strategy number 2 is that you need to determine whether you are dealing with anxiety or unbalanced blood sugar. Okay, and they're very similar. So the connection between anxiety and unbalanced blood sugar is that unbalanced blood sugar can actually mimic symptoms of anxiety or make them worse. Certain foods can cause your blood sugar to be unbalanced and consequently make your anxiety symptoms much, much worse. Okay, so we can look at this simple chart of unbalanced blood sugar versus anxiety. And as you can see, unbalanced blood sugar and anxiety have some of or most of the symptoms actually of each are the same. So a fast heart rate is a symptom of unbalanced blood sugar and a symptom of anxiety. Okay, nausea is also a symptom of unbalanced blood sugar and anxiety. Irritability, both. Anxiety or panic and excessive worry on anxiety, sweating, all of these things are very similar. So, shakiness or tremors or shakiness are a symptom of anxiety and a symptom of unbalanced blood sugar. So you really need to determine if you are suffering from anxiety, whether it's actually anxiety or whether you're dealing with unbalanced blood sugar or whether it's a combination of both. And you can really do this by eating foods to balance your blood sugar. So if you choose foods, even if you say did this for a week, choose foods that balance your blood sugar, and then you pay attention to how you feel. If your anxiety is better or worse, then you can determine whether, your symptoms of anxiety are actually anxiety or if they're being driven by blood sugar imbalance. So if you choose fiber-rich foods, that'll stabilize your blood sugar. Whole nutrient-dense foods, like protein and healthy fats, nuts, meat, and then foods with no added sugar. Those 3 things will stabilize your blood sugar, and then you'll be able to determine whether your anxiety is actually anxiety or whether it is unbalanced blood sugar. Your food choices and your eating habits will either cause your blood sugar to be balanced or unbalanced, and that can really affect anxiety, and it can also affect your weight. So let's just go over quickly a case study. This is one of my clients currently, and this client suffers from moderate to severe anxiety to the point where over the past 30 years, this client has had to be institutionalized for short periods of time to get his anxiety under control. So this man was fasting for 20 hours a day with a 4-hour eating window. His blood sugar was unbalanced due to the extended fasting. He was consuming also 4+ cups of caffeinated coffee, tea every day, was not getting adequate nutrition, wasn't getting enough calories or enough protein. And his anxiety was triggering his fat storage, and he was unable to lose weight. Even though he was fasting for 20 hours and he was only eating 4 hours a day, he was not able to lose weight. Okay, so this client joined the Belly Fat Fix, started working with me about, I think, 3.5 months ago. After a thorough and individualized assessment by me, we decided that he needed to discontinue the extended fasting period. He started eating in a 12 to 14 hour window with 10 to 12 hour fast. He got 3 solid meals a day to ensure that his blood sugar was stable and he had adequate nutrition. And he decreased caffeine consumption considerably. And those interventions, along with a solid nutrition plan, has been able to control his anxiety completely and totally. So before he started working with me, he was having an episode or a time where he was having some very high anxiety and he was very concerned about it. About a week or two after we started working together, his anxiety became much less and it regulated himself. And not only has his anxiety been 100% managed through lifestyle nutrition, but he has also lost 30 pounds in 3.5 months. And he's done that while maintaining muscle mass and eating whole healthy foods without using a stove once. This client actually doesn't cook. Um, he has been eating a whole food diet without without using a stove, just by eating, whole healthy foods that don't need to be cooked and also using a microwave. So it is he's a very good example. This client's a very good example of how it's really, really important to determine whether you have, unmanageable anxiety or whether your anxiety can be managed through nutrition, because your nutrition can really make your anxiety worse, or your lack of nutrition. And you really have to, like this client, for example, he went through a period about a month ago where his anxiety was starting to get bad again. And, that correlated with a time when he ended up working a lot more. He was working longer hours, he was more physically active, and I did a reassessment with him to really see, how much he was eating and if he was getting what he needed. And it turned out that he really wasn't getting enough protein, he wasn't getting enough calories. And when we changed those two things, within 2 days, his anxiety was back to being manageable again. So it's really important to understand that if you do suffer from anxiety, there are a lot of things that you can do nutritionally to make it better. It's not, that you have to take medication. You can really get excellent results by having a good nutrition plan, by working with somebody who understands how nutrition can affect anxiety. Okay. So I'm going to go through the anxiety and weight gain connection just for people who are interested, because if you're suffering from anxiety or stress and worry, chronic stress and worry, it can really affect your weight. And I'm going to explain to you why and get into the biology just a little bit, just for people who want to know that. But basically, when you have anxiety, it equals a stress response. And if you have chronic stress in your body, it equals weight gains. So, sorry, it equals weight gain. Excuse me. So you have, when you're stressed, when you're in a stress response, you have hormones that are being released, and those are cortisol and adrenaline that puts you into a fight or flight. So it's the same as if you were having to run away from a tiger, or if you were in danger, some criminal or someone was trying to kill you and you were running away from them, you would go into a fight or flight response. And when that happens, your body releases stress hormones, and that causes sugar to be released into your bloodstream. And if you remember, we were talking about it earlier, and we've talked about it in many different trainings. If you have excess or high levels of sugar in your body, you also have high levels of insulin, and then you'll develop insulin resistance. So chronic anxiety causes your blood sugar to be chronically high, which leads to high insulin resistance, and weight gain. When your body experiences anxiety, your cortisol levels rise and glucose is released into the bloodstream to prepare for fight or flight. This leads to unstable blood sugar, weight gain, and over time insulin resistance. So if you are constantly anxious, um, you might have an extremely difficult time losing weight, or you just might not be able to, because that stress is flooding your bloodstream with sugar all the time. So you could even just be eating healthy food. You could be eating in a way that should help you lose weight, and it's just not working because you have this stress anxiety response going on constantly. Okay, so you can see here, you have anxiety at the top. So, say you have some situation that triggers anxiety. Maybe your wife is yelling at you. Maybe your kids are being a pain. Maybe you're stuck in traffic and you're getting angry and anxious that you're not going to make it somewhere on time. But when you have that episode of anxiety, your stress hormones, they are released into your body, and that causes your blood sugar to increase. And that causes insulin to be released into the bloodstream. And if this anxiety loop is happening all the time, if you are an anxious person or you're having episodes of anxiety 10 times a day, your blood is being constantly bombarded with sugar. Okay, and then eventually, just like we talked about before, your cells will resist insulin and your blood sugar will stay elevated. You have to get rid of that sugar in your bloodstream so your body will store it as fat. Okay, so you got the anxiety, which I've spelled wrong here. You have then insulin resistance, and that turns into weight gain, and it's a vicious cycle. Okay. All right. Strategy number 3 is to reduce your sugar intake. Um, in a way, this is a no-brainer, but it is also a difficult thing to do. Sugar causes unbalanced blood sugar, it increases inflammation, and it really makes anxiety worse. And so we've now learned that unbalanced blood sugar can really affect things like anxiety. It can also really cause problems when it comes to depression because it increases inflammation in your body and brain. So, that bag of candy or all the starchy foods you like to eat, those are sugars. And if you eat them and your blood sugar is constantly high, you have inflammation in your body and your brain. Okay. Also, sugar is addictive. It's more addictive than cocaine. It's shown to be more addictive than cocaine in rat studies. And being stuck in a cycle of sugar addiction, along with the guilt that comes with it, it's not good for your mental health. If you are addicted to sugar, and you're drinking pop or you're eating candy, and then it's not good for you, and it takes you up, and then you feel terrible after, and then you feel guilty, and that sort of causes you to want to eat it again. Any addiction is not fun. Sugar is exactly the same. It is like a drug. You should treat it that way. Drink, you know you should just do whatever you can to sort of reduce your sugar intake. And like we talked about, the first strategy was to balance your blood sugar. If you balance your blood sugar, you will have fewer sugar cravings. Okay. So that's key, but you should try and reduce your sugar intake. And you can do that by drinking water instead of juice, diet, or regular soda. You need to check the label. So 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon. So if you're going to eat or drink something that has, 28 or even 40 grams of sugar in it, like if you're getting some Frappuccino or you're getting, some fancy iced coffee, or you've got a can of pop or a bottle of pop, if you look at the label and it says 28 grams of sugar, measure out however many teaspoons that is, right? That's 7 teaspoons. Measure out 7 teaspoons of sugar into a bowl and then decide if you really want to eat it. If you've got that heap of sugar in front of you, would you ever just eat 7 teaspoons of sugar? And if you wouldn't, then you probably shouldn't drink that drink. So, eating for balanced blood sugar, as I mentioned, will help with sugar cravings. How much sugar, is in your protein bar is a good question to ask yourself. Sometimes there's more sugar than protein. Read the labels. Eating too much sugar is really stressful for your body, and it can make anxiety a lot worse, and it can be really detrimental to mental health in general. It should be considered a recreational drug, and you should use it accordingly. The fourth strategy is to reduce caffeine. And this is especially if you suffer from anxiety. So reducing caffeine can be a game changer for some people. Like I was talking about in the case study, my client with the moderate to severe anxiety, when he lowered his caffeine and also fixed his nutrition, he really saw a significant reduction in anxiety. And part of his problem too is that he was fasting all day long, going to work in the morning on an empty stomach and getting a huge coffee and drinking it and then getting, symptoms of anxiety after that. So sometimes making sure you have food in your stomach before you have caffeine can help. But also if you're having 4 or 5 coffee or caffeinated drinks every day and you suffer from anxiety, you really need to think about whether that is affecting you or not. Okay, so symptoms of caffeine triggered anxiety are nausea, insomnia, jitters, fast heart rate, headache, and a general feeling of unhappiness. And some people are just really sensitive to caffeine. I know I am. I really can't have more than, I usually drink like this much coffee a day. And for me, that's enough. And sometimes if I'm sort of in an anxious state anyway, I can't even have that much coffee because it causes me to feel anxious. So if you're suffering from anxiety, or even worse, if you're suffering from panic attacks and you drink coffee or other caffeinated drinks, you should try and cut them back slowly or cut them out completely if you can do that, but cut them back slowly and then try and eliminate caffeine altogether for a week or two. And that can help you really figure out how it might be contributing to your anxiety. So you could use herbal tea, decaf, or water. Those are all good alternatives. The fifth strategy is to use supplements. There are a few supplements that can really help. So research has shown that magnesium, vitamin D3, B vitamins, and omega-3 can help with brain function that reduces stress and anxiety and improves symptoms of depression. And I know a lot of people are sort of against taking supplements, but the reality is that more than half the adult population in the US is magnesium deficient. Um, Over 68 are deficient in omega-3, 35 are vitamin D deficient, and deficiency of B vitamins has been linked to increased risk of depression. And then you need to remember also that if you are under periods of stress or you're dealing with a lot of anxiety all the time, that your body is burning through a lot more magnesium than it normally does. And it's also burning through B vitamins a lot faster than it normally does. So if you are suffering with anxiety, it is very likely that you are deficient in, at least in B vitamins and in magnesium. So yeah, make sure that you buy supplements from a reputable brand. Capsules, gel caps, liquid forms are always better in my experience. If you want some help choosing supplements, just send me a note. I can help you. I can give you a list of good ones to buy. But these are definitely supplements that have helped me specifically with my anxiety and depression. If I stop taking them, I see noticeable difference. Vitamin D is a really, really important one that's been heavily studied, and it's really important to get enough, especially if you suffer from anxiety and depression. So you can also get these nutrients from food. I wouldn't be a very great holistic nutritionist if I didn't think so. So you can definitely get them from food. Sometimes it can be hard unless your diet is very close to being, quote unquote perfect. But you can get magnesium from things like leafy greens, avocado, legumes, like lentils and beans, nuts and seeds. You can get vitamin D3 from things like cod liver oil, fatty fish, egg yolks, mushrooms, and fortified foods, or from being in the sun. But if you live in a northern climate like I do, you'd really have to be outside with most of your body exposed. So in a bathing suit, or if you're a guy, shirtless, to get enough vitamin D from the sun. In the winter, it's almost impossible if you're living in the northern US, and even in New Zealand and Australia, in some places, you may not be getting enough. So okay, B vitamins can be found in beef, eggs, salmon, oysters, mussels, organ meat, so things like liver, kidney, heart, leafy green vegetables, and legumes. And then omega-3 can be found in fatty fish like mackerel, sardines, herring, oyster, salmon, anchovies, caviar, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. So, like I mentioned before, it can be really hard to get what you need from food. I personally eat fatty fish multiple times a week, and I still have to supplement with a fish oil to keep my levels balanced. I've had them checked. I eat a very clean diet and I eat a lot of fatty fish, but still, for example, my omega-3 is not as high as it should be. And I do always get my vitamin D levels checked because I do live in a cold, sort of gray climate where we don't get a lot of sun in the winter. And I need to supplement to keep my levels in the normal range. So, yes, it's always good to get nutrients from food, but if you know for sure that you're not able to, then supplementing can be really important. And if you know that you suffer from, moderate to severe anxiety or depression, taking these supplements can really help, can help. They're not going to cure you. They'll tip the balance. Really changing your diet is what can make it or break it when it comes to anxiety and depression. Okay. Bonus strategy is daily movement. And we all know that this makes us feel good. Try to fit simple exercise into your day. This is as simple as going out for a walk. Walking can improve your sleep. It can reduce stress and anxiety. It can improve your mood. It can give you more energy and just make you feel better. And if you find the thought of going out for a walk anxiety provoking, you can just start with a small walk around the block before you get into your car to drive somewhere. Just start small, because the worst thing that you can do if you're already dealing with anxiety is to give yourself all of these goals and say, okay, I'm going to start doing, 7,000 steps every day, and then getting really anxious about having to meet those requirements. So just be easy, go easy on yourself. If you're already going out, to go to your car, to go pick up your kids, to go to work, to go to the grocery store, walk around the block. You're already outside. So just start small. And sometimes starting small and being consistent with small steps can really make a huge impact on you long term. So, right. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the belly fat fix. Not only the belly fat fix, but also working with me one on one. If you have mental health issues, if you do want to take sort of a holistic natural approach towards them, I can really help you with that. So if you're not interested in that, you're welcome to hop off now. But I just want to talk a little bit about it for people who might be considering, going a natural route to try to deal with anxiety, depression, mental health, and also their weight issues. So the belly fat fix is a program that really deals with the root cause. It deals with getting back to the basics of what your body needs. And I think it's really important to think about the fact that, you have trillions of cells in your body, and all of these cells just need basic nutrition. And all the food that you eat is information for your cells. So if you're eating junk food, if you're eating a lot of processed food, if you're eating a ton of sugar, if you're eating just food that's not real whole food, that's the information that you're giving to your cells. And it's not a huge surprise that your cells in your brain or your body are not functioning at an optimal level if you're not giving them optimal nutrition. So I really take this, back to basics approach. It's not complicated. It's not, eat a bunch of crazy food or you have to follow a meal plan to the T. It's just you need to learn exactly what your body needs. And when you learn what your body needs, it will allow you to not only lose weight for good, but it will allow your brain to get the proper nutrients so that it can work properly as well. I know this for a fact. I've not, I mean, full disclosure, I've not ever been overweight except for the first time I was pregnant. I was close to 200 pounds, which was a lot for me. Yeah, that's about, I guess that's about 70 pounds heavier than I am right now. But other than that, I have not dealt with weight issues. But what I have dealt with is chronic inflammation, which is something that all of you are dealing with. I dealt with chronic inflammation. And for me, I needed to adjust my diet and figure out the food that I needed to lower inflammation in my body. And these are the same principles that all of you need to learn in order to lose weight. You know, men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s have to deal with inflammation, a messed up metabolism, and balancing their hormones in order to lose weight. So the program that I offer really is like a root cause approach. You will learn exactly what you need in order to have good health so that your body will naturally go back down to the weight it's supposed to be. You know, if you're eating in a way that puts your health first, if you're eating in a way that keeps your blood sugar completely stable, there is almost no chance that you can't lose weight. You will lose weight. It's not possible. It's not possible for you not to. Your body wants to be healthy. Your body wants to go back to the weight it's supposed to be. And that's, if you're eating in a way that promotes that, there's just no chance that you can't lose the weight and keep it off. So the program is really to help you regain confidence in your ability to achieve sustainable weight loss by experiencing consistent results. I know a lot of people in here have tried everything. A lot of my clients have tried everything and they have not gotten results for years. And I get it. You're extremely skeptical about it because nothing's worked. So, you know, it takes time. That's why the program is 12 weeks long. That's why sometimes I do promotions to make it even longer. I want people to feel confident that they are actually able to take control of their own health. And you are completely competent and, you know, you will do it. I will teach you how to eat, you know, healthy food in a way that balances your blood sugar in a way that puts your health first. So I do that, but then also I really give a lot of support and accountability. I make sure that the approach is personalized for you. For example, the client I talked about in the case study, you know, he doesn't cook. So the approach and the way he eats is completely different from another one of my clients who loves to be in the kitchen and who loves to spend time in there. You know, the approach has to be feasible for you to implement. You have to be able to do it. And if it doesn't fit into your life, it's not, you know, it's just not going to work. So I really work with people to meet them where they are. And I work to help you maintain your results without ever feeling like, you know, you can't go out for dinner or you can't do all of these things. You know, you need to be able to eat the right food. Your blood sugar will stay stable. Your mood will stay stable. You know, your body will release glucagon, which is the opposite of insulin. And we know insulin just drives, you know, chronic inflammation. It drives mental, brain inflammation. It drives all chronic illness, you know, and then you can use the stored fat that you have in your body to make energy. And this will also promote less anxiety. It will promote weight loss. And then once you're in this loop, this happy loop, and you stay there, your weight will consistently come down, you know, 2 pounds a week, 3 pounds a week. As long as you're doing these things, as long as you're implementing the strategies that I teach you, you will have balanced blood sugar, you will have a stable mood, and you will have weight loss. It's impossible not to. So really the program brings you from where you are today, which is a place where you don't have good metabolic health. Your metabolism is screwed up and, you know, don't feel like you're on your own there. 92% of Americans have a dysregulated metabolism. 92% have a metabolism that's not working properly, which means, and your metabolism really is just how your body deals with the food that you eat. So, you know, if you eat food, your body really should be able to convert it to energy and use it efficiently, and you shouldn't gain weight. But if you spent the last 10 years or 20 years or 30 years not knowing how to eat properly, your metabolism is screwed up. So the program that I do, and then also when I work one-on-one with people, really teaches people how to fix their metabolism long term. It's not just about, you know, dropping 20 pounds or 30 pounds in a month. That's not healthy. It's not good for you. The program will teach you how to eat in a way that will, give you the strategies you can use for the rest of your life to have good health. You'll have more energy. You won't have any cravings. Yes, you'll have weight loss, and that's great, but you'll also have reduced hunger. You won't be tired anymore. A lot of people see a complete turnaround in type 2 diabetes. They get off all of their medication. They sleep better. They have reduced stress. Their body learns how to burn fat, and the belly fat starts to go away, and also no more aches and pains, and you feel strong. And that's the way it should be. If you're on a diet and you're feeling hungry all the time and you're having cravings all the time and you feel like absolute crap, whatever diet you're on or whatever weight loss strategy you're using, it's not good for you. And I really want to teach you guys that there is a better way. And the way to lose weight properly is by putting your health first. And that's what my program does. That's what I do with clients, even if they just want to work privately with me. We really, really focus heavily on putting health first and fixing the root problem so that you never have to deal with those problems again. Okay, so what's blocking, your body from losing weight if you're a man in your 40s, 50s, and 60s? Imbalanced hormones are preventing your body from losing separate fat for sure. And the main hormone is insulin, but there are a lot of other hormones. If you want a different training that talks more about hormones in detail, just type hormones and I'll get it to you. The second thing that's really preventing your body from losing weight is a messed up metabolism. So years or decades of calorie restrictions and dieting and extreme exercise are going to screw your metabolism up. And then increased stress and inflammation are not only preventing your body from losing weight, but they are also causing you to have decreased brain function. And if you have inflammation in your brain, which if you have belly fat, you are going to have an element of inflammation in your brain, then you are going to be more likely to suffer from things like anxiety and depression and just not feeling your ultimate best. Okay. So eating is really key. The key to taking the edge off your anxiety and to losing weight is really choosing the right foods and the right combinations to balance your blood sugar. And please remember the symptoms of unbalanced blood sugar and anxiety really overlap. So dealing with your unbalanced blood sugar can really help you determine what is what, and that's extremely important to know. Balancing your blood sugar will help keep your anxiety stable. It'll also help you lose weight. So eat nutrient dense foods. Eat foods in the right combinations. Eat protein, healthy fat, healthy carbs and fiber at every meal. Try to keep your blood sugar stable, okay? And it's really going to help your mental health and it's going to help you lose weight. It's slightly more complicated than that. Obviously, you need to optimize, what you're eating. You need to get an approach that fits your life. You need to maybe get some expert help on what exactly it looks like to balance your blood sugar in your life. It's different for everybody. Depends on how tall you are. It depends on how old you are. It depends on how heavy you are. It depends on what kind of job you have. Do you work night shift? Do you work day shift? So if you feel like you need help with those things or determining those things, that's when booking a Zoom call with me is a good idea. That's where maybe, either working with me one-on-one or considering joining this program, the Belly Fat Fix, is a really good idea if you feel like you need lots of support. But I'm definitely going to take the guesswork out of what you need to do. I'm an expert in men's nutrition. I know exactly what older men need. I know how your bodies work. I know the biology. I know the science. And, there will be no messing around, really. There really won't be any messing around. If you work with me, we'll get you sorted out. You will lose weight and you will feel better. But especially if you do suffer from anxiety and depression, and you want to get help with that, I am, completely non-judgmental. Like I said, I suffered from extreme depression in my late teens and early 20s. And I've also battled with anxiety all of my adult life. So, I'm easy to talk to. And like I said, there's no judgment. And also, I really have a wealth of knowledge that I can share with you as far as healthy, natural, holistic ways that you can deal with your mental health and get it, get it under wraps and also lose weight at the same time, because all of the same strategies apply when you're dealing with the root of the issue. So, there are some links if you want to book a Zoom call, go for it. You can always email me. I will also put a link to send me a direct message in Messenger when I post this. And yeah, I'm always happy to talk to you. If you don't want to work with me, it's fine. If you want to just, get on a Zoom call and chit chat about health, or, get my take on what's going on with you, that's fine. If you do want to work with me, there's never any pressure, but I'm also happy to talk to you about what that looks like, what working with me one-on-one looks like, what it looks like to work with me in my program. And yeah, I always look forward to getting to know guys in this group better. So please feel free, to reach out anytime, and I'd love to chat with you. I think that's it for now. That was 45 minutes. And yeah, if you're watching the replay and you still want to chit chat, just, you can always comment and just say replay or ask your questions, and I will make sure that I get back to you and answer them all. Okay. So I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions, but I don't really think a lot of people are watching live right now. I don't necessarily think it's the best time of day, but it was the only time that I could do it today. So, all right. Well, it's been a pleasure as always. And we will chat again soon if I can figure out how to turn my Zoom off, which might be a problem. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. And yeah, just get in touch if you want to chat more.